Welcome to my video on hosting your site with GitHub. In this version, we are going to be using your GitHub account. So you're going to need to be able to create a GitHub account in addition to your Azure account. Let's get started. All right, for this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can build your web app using a GitHub account. If you have a GitHub account and you want to use it, you can do it this way. You do not have to. You can use the Azure storage if you would prefer. Either direction works fine. The important for this is you want to include your Azure Static Web Apps extension. So you should have a GitHub account. Make sure that you sign up for an Azure account. If you do not already have an Azure account, you want to come over to azure.microsoft.com and make sure that you sign up for your Azure account before you get started, because that's important. Once you're in your Azure account, you can go ahead and view your portal and see the stuff that is inside your Azure account. Visual Studio Code you should already have, and the extension you need is your Azure Static Websites. So it looks like this, Azure, whoops, spelled wrong, Static Websites, or Web Apps. Excuse me. There it is. And it's still in preview. So it's not even to version 1.0, but it works and we like it and we're going to use it for the purposes of this course. You are welcome to do this. So you want to go ahead and click that and make sure you install it. I already have it installed. And then when you do, you will end up with this Azure option here. Ignore the storage. This Azure option here. It will probably at this point ask you to log in to Azure, or it'll say sign into Azure, and we'll go ahead and make sure that we can do that. Okay. When you want to use your GitHub account, you have to make sure you have a GitHub repository already set up. This repository, this vanilla basic, works. It is literally just a generic site with an index page. There's not a lot in there. So this is not considered a template. Yes, you can use this. So if you want to sign into GitHub, navigate to the following repository. In this case, I should already be logged in. I can click here and it will say, so I'm logged into GitHub. Again, you should already be logged in. If you haven't already logged in, you'll have to log in. Go find your owner. In this case, this is me. Don't be me, please be yourself, and give yourself a repository name. So I'm going to call this Portfolio GitHub, just so I know which one is which to keep them all straight. And I'm going to create a repository from my template. So the vanilla basic template, and you'll see it in just a second, all it has in it is an index page, a README page, and a single style CSS page. That's fine. That's all that's in it. You can look at each of these pages. So this is your original index page. You can see you have your doc type, you have your HTML, your head, your metadata, your UTF-8. You have a viewport set up, yay. And we've linked to your style sheet, and it just has a basic text for the title and a text in your main. If you look at the CSS page, you'll see it has a couple of things in it, not a lot. It's got a basic font family of Arial and Helvetica. It's got some HTML, some main, and some H1s. I'd prefer it if you didn't use this CSS, even though it's already included, but it's there. It's up to you how you choose to do it. The README is just an initial thing saying it's a very basic website and it's just a page. So those are the three things that are in your vanilla basic site. When we go back to the instructions, which I didn't realize I had clicked on. One more. There it goes. We've created our repository. It now exists. Cool. Now we are going to do what's called cloning the repository. What this means is you are going to use your GitHub account and you are going to put the repository on your local machine. The reason I don't push the GitHub thing is because now it gets a little bit confusing, not a lot, just a little, to be able to create this location. So we are going to go clone this location into your computer. To clone, you are going to come down to the search bar and you're going to type CMD or command to open a command prompt. And it should look like this. This is just your basic command prompt. I am going to go to a work directory that I have and a school directory. And inside my school directory, I'm going to make a directory called portfolio GitHub, because that's where I want to put it. And then I'm going to CD over to portfolio GitHub. Okay, so change directory. This is just your basic command line comments. So now I am in my portfolio GitHub command line, and I am going to use this phrase to clone my directory. Now, the fun thing with this, you actually want to be careful copying and pasting because you don't want all of it. So in this case, I'm actually going to type it. So I'm going to say git, I'm going to say clone, https://github.com/ your GitHub account name. My GitHub account name is I know what my account name is. There we go. Cheryl Simpson -GFC MSU. So that's what mine is. So Cheryl Simpson -GFC MSU / so let's go back down and make sure we got the text right. My first static web app.get. Well, it's not called my first static web app.get. It's called my portfolio GitHub.get. So portfolio GitHub.get. That's what I want to call it. Enter. And it's going to say you spelled it close instead of clone. That would be typical. How about clone? Better. So now what it's going to do is it's going to clone that portfolio from there and put it on my local drive. If I type in directory right now, you'll see I have a portfolio GitHub. I can go over to my portfolio GitHub, and you can see that those files, that index, readme, and styles are in there. Okay, that means those files are now on my computer. I can now come over here and I can open the folder portfolio GitHub and the portfolio GitHub. Okay. When this pops up, we now have our styles, our index, and our HTML. I can go to my index. I can right click on my index and I can open it in a browser just to make sure it's there. Always good to make sure that the text is there. Take a few seconds, and there we say vanilla JavaScript app. We're going to go ahead and change that to Cheryl's portfolio. And I'm going to change my title up here. Portfolio. Okay. Now I've done that. Now I need to actually make it into a static web app. Okay. Don't worry about the M. We'll talk about those when we do source control. That'll be a different version. I have this page. It's got some stuff on it. It's happy. I want to go ahead and post it. I'm going to come over to my Azure. Static Web Apps Preview, Azure subscription. Depending on what you have currently, you might have some files down here. I have in my portfolio because I already did this once to make sure it worked. We're going to make a new one. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create Static Web App, this little plus symbol right up here. It's going to give me a series of directions. If I'm not already logged in, it's going to ask me to log in. It's going to say, enter a name for your new static web app. I'm going to say Cheryl's portfolio GitHub, because this is the one that goes with GitHub. Okay, cool. It's going to say which branch. This goes with Get. This makes sure that Get is working and your source control. We're going to say it's the master branch. When you go into GitHub, you may understand the concept of different branching. So when I come over here to my portfolio GitHub in GitHub, I have different branches that I can play against, and this is my master branch. I can add new branches, change code around. That's what it's referring to. Where do you want to put your application code? If you click the little slash, it'll just put a little app thing, which is fine. The next question is, where do you want to put your Azure Functions code? For right now, let's just skip that. We don't need to do Azure Functions. The next one is your build output, which is fine. You can go ahead and set it as build and it'll put it in app build. So I can just hit enter. Where do you want to put it? You have a couple of options. I choose Central US because I like Central US. Down at the bottom here, it's going to say creating new, 1, 2, 3 different things that you're going to be creating. Okay, successfully created new static web app at Cheryl's portfolio, GitHub. Okay, cool. It's not up yet. Now we can go open it. You see it's right here. We can open it in the portal. So if I open up my Cheryl's portfolio GitHub, once it loads, there it goes. It's going to open. And we're going to have a production, and then we have some things underneath it. Go ahead and do just the production and right click. And you can say browse site. Or you can come up here and you can say open in portal. If I say open in portal, it's going to go to the Azure portal, you know, same site I have over here, and it's going to go find it. The thing is right now, because I just created it, it may still be deploying. So it may not be completely up yet. As soon as it's up, there it is. It is going to show you what the URL is. I can click this URL and it'll say it's live and it's waiting for your content. So we're fine. Just for the moment, your site is up. At this point, we need to make sure that we get the site pushed. Since I have this in Git, I have source control. Source control is going to control what my data is, and I have to make sure I push the changes that I did here with portfolio and Cheryl's portfolio to GitHub. They're not on GitHub right now. They're hanging out on my local computer. I need to get them up there. So to do that, I need to stage the changes and then commit them. So if you have the changes here, you can stage individual files here, each individual file, or you can click the little plus button underneath changes to stage all of them. So once we push that, it's going to now say that those are staged. That means we're going to be pushing those up. I'm going to say initial push to GitHub because I don't care. That's what I want it to do. And I'm going to hit the check mark. What that's going to do is commit those changes to GitHub. They're still not pushed, by the way. They are sitting on your local machine waiting to be pushed. At this point, I can hit refresh and everything's fine there, but I still need to do what's called pushing to or synchronizing my changes. Down here at the bottom where it says master, because that's the version I'm in, I need to push. So I'm going to click on synchronize changes. It's going to pop up and say, are you sure you're going to push and pull all your commits? And I'm going to say, oh yeah. I might say, oh yeah, please don't ask me again, because obviously that's what I want you to do. While that is going, we have our code hanging out over here in Git. So we're in GitHub over here. Once that is done, and I'm watching that little line go across the top and make sure that it's all done, looks like it's done. We have 0 up and 0 down. We're synchronizing. All of our changes are synchronized. At this point, I can refresh this page. I can click on my index.html, and you can see that the changes are here. Cheryl's portfolio is here, portfolio is here. That's in your GitHub. And you can see that our Cheryl's portfolio now is on our page. As you increase and decrease it, because apparently it word wraps in that location. That's part of the reason why I'm hesitant of letting you keep the styles, by the way, because it added in a margin of 50% and some padding so that it made it centered. Now, you'll notice the URL is not something pretty that you really wanted. That's okay. For static apps, that's all right. You may have some little issues in the middle of there. I recommend if you have your quick start file here, make sure that you followed the directions in the quick start correctly. Again, sometimes the deployment takes a little while, so you can just be patient with it. If it still doesn't load, you can go check out your Azure and make sure that everything is fine. But these are designed, as soon as you push it up to GitHub, it should change. So let's just see here. Let's get rid of that margin there. Actually, we'll leave the margin auto, fine. But we are going to get rid of these two, and we're going to add in a background. And we're going to call that yellow. Okay. This little M means that it's been changed. We can come over here. So it's been modified is the word. We're going to go ahead and stage our changes. Added yellow background. Commit. Look down at the bottom. I need to sync my changes. Ask me if I want to sync my changes. You'll see why I say okay and don't ask me again, because it takes some time. Now, the deployment history is probably once in a while. It's queued right now. So I can come over here and look at my deployment history and watch that and see it's queued. It's thinking about it. It'll take it a few minutes once it's changed. So we can't just immediately come back to our site and refresh it. We're waiting for this queue to change. And it's good to keep an eye on it and make sure you understand. That was where I added the yellow background that I just did. This is why source control is really kind of cool, because it goes ahead and adds in these little comments so that you can keep track of what did I just do? What did I just do? I love source control. It makes me very, very happy. Still queued, so it's still probably not changed. I can actually come over here and make sure it's not changed. I can actually come over here and make sure that that change actually was a change. That, yeah, okay, so it should look like that. Come back here, keep an eye on it. It's still queued. The thing about using the GitHub is that it doesn't happen instantly. You want to keep an eye on it. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for GitHub to push it up. And that's okay, because this isn't a huge, there it goes, in progress, and now it's done. Now, I can refresh and it's up there. So, I didn't have to do anything else over here to change it. It's all done automatically as soon as you run your source control on your files. So if I run my get here, change something, hit commit, don't forget to sync. You have to sync. If you don't sync at the bottom, it's not going to go. You got to get it off your computer and up to GitHub. And that way you can get your portfolio up there and be able to have your website. All right. Thank you guys. Have fun with this. Again, if you have any trouble, give me a holler.